Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull, and today's video is going to be covering the big matchup between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. First thing that I want to do is take a look at the matchups and see what the game plans are. We're going to jump into some film of Tennessee's defense versus Alabama's offense. A couple of key things to pay attention to in this film breakdown is that Alabama is struggling to block their quarterback. They're struggling on the offensive line in general, and Tennessee is wreaking havoc up front. They're one of the best pass rush teams in this entire country, and their defense is doing a great job of stopping the run as well. Something else that really works well in Alabama's favor is that they're doing a great job of hitting deep passes. They're scheming it up, people are getting open, and Milroe's doing a really good job of hitting those guys. Now, something that's kind of been rumored, something that's been mentioned several times, is that Milroe might be dealing with a hamstring injury. Obviously, that's going to slow him down a lot, and it's going to play a big factor in the way that Alabama tries to play Tennessee on Saturday. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump to the film. All right, now the first thing that we know about Alabama is that they're having some offensive line troubles. Take a look at this offensive line trying to block Arkansas, who is not a great pass rush team. Let's take a look at this freshman left tackle who has really struggled throughout this season, get absolutely abused. Now, this is a four-man rush by Arkansas. Three-step drop, and he's able to easily beat that tackle just by going right around him. I mean, that wasn't even a speed rush, wasn't a bull rush. This is absolute and total domination. And really, it's not even domination. This is just incompetence on this left tackle, to be completely honest with you. Watch this. Again, this is a three-step drop. Pay attention to Milroe right here. As he gets to the top of his drop, is planting his feet. Boom, that's third, and doesn't even have time to find anybody. Now on this play, we've got 2nd and 8, and Arkansas is actually going to bring 5. This is their front 4 right here, and then they're going to bring a little bit of heat on the outside with this safety or nickel guy. Again, that was a three-step drop. His first few reads were not there, and 2 people get home. Okay, so that wasn't on that freshman left tackle. That was on somebody that they had put in, it looks like, to either try to spell that left tackle or to try to step up in his place. All right, now we got a 1st and 10 play right here. And as you can see, Arkansas is only rushing 4 again. Watch how quick they're going to get to this quarterback. The pocket collapses completely. He has nowhere to go. He's not showing the same type of mobile movements that we've seen from him previously. Could be something to that hamstring thing. All right, now let's take a look at the Vols on defense. You're going to notice that we're only going to bring 4 right here. Pay very close attention to Tyler Barron and how quickly he's able to get off of this football and get to the quarterback. Watch this right here. Explodes off the ball, quick swim to the inside, another 3-step drop. Tennessee gets home on. Now, we're going to take a look right here at James Pierce. This is the guy that everyone has been talking about. First thing that you already see, the ball just got snapped. He's beating the entire offensive line out of their snaps. He's on a completely different level. Look at this right here. He pushes his man, bull rushes his man all the way into the quarterback for a sack. Very dominant up front. All right, and now we don't just get pressure from the outside. Take a look at what Big O does on this play and how quick he's able to get off of the football. This is also a really nice play design by Tim Banks. We're going to show pressure in a lot of different areas, okay? A lot of different people look like they are coming. We actually only end up bringing 4. Right here, we're going to drop back into coverage. We're going to drop here. We're going to drop there. Middle linebacker is coming, and everybody else right here is all coming as well. But watch how quickly none of that even matters because we get off of the football pretty much unblocked and come up with what, I don't know if they count this as a sack or not, but they definitely should have. Look at how quick he gets back there. Just disruptive throughout the entire defensive line. Now, we're only going to bring 4 on this play. Again, let's take a look as this play develops. What we have right here is Roman Harrison coming around on a stunt and twist. This defensive line can get it done in a lot of different ways. All right, so this is a 4th and 1. Obviously, Texas A&M looks like they're trying to run the football here, but Tennessee has been so dominant up front that their own center, who has to go forward and has to try to get this 1 yard, takes a step back. Okay, I don't know. I don't think that he's even really gotten hands on him yet, but he's so used to going backwards that he's already stepping back off of the snap, steps on his own quarterback's foot right here, and his quarterback trips. Okay, this is what pure dominance looks like. Now on this play right here, what we have is miscommunication. Now some of this obviously was because of kneeling, but a lot of it was just because of this front, everyone up here getting after the daggum quarterback on a consistent basis. And what we're gonna have is Max Johnson is confused, the running back is also confused. Watch the way that Tennessee comes up and makes a good solid tackle on this quarterback. All right, so this is gonna be a stretch play. The running back is gonna come out here. All of the offensive line is coming this way, and the running back is gonna look for a crease to run through. But watch the way that Tennessee is able to sniff this out, string it along, comes up fast, and just attacks that play. That's actually James Pierce making the play from backside. All right, now this is a 3rd and 15. I'm not quite sure what this coverage is that Arkansas is in, but it looks like it was supposed to be quarters. What ends up happening down here, though, is it ends up being man because nobody else really lined up on his side, so he ends up just kind of manning this guy up. But it looks like this is supposed to be a quarters coverage, which means that these guys are all playing in their quarter of the field, okay? He would have had this 4th quarterback here, but like I said, looks like he ended up manning up in whatever their scheme calls for. But this is actually a really good play call by Alabama, and knowing what the defense is going to be in and being able to find an opening in that defense. And this is a really good pass by Milroe, and it's really accurate. This guy ends up being wide open. Let's take a look at it from here. You can see that the pressure is there, but I mean, this is just completely and totally wide open. This is really some sort of a bust in this coverage. Now, I'm gonna show you where the bust comes in at. This guy right here, instead of him staying in his zone, which is back this way, he decides to come up and help this, I believe, linebacker in this underneath route, which looks like it could be a dig or some sort of a comeback route that, this tight end or wide receiver here is just kind of sitting down. But what it ends up doing is it ends up leaving a big gaping hole, obviously, where he left from and he's supposed to be covering. This is a good job, again, by their staff and by Milroe being able to identify where the open man is going to be and making a really, really nice pass. And we're going to see a couple more angles. We're going to see one more angle after this one. You can see that pass is right on the money. They've got some good wide receivers too. Now, pay attention to this area right here, okay? Because like we talked about, this offensive line is not doing a great job of blocking. This is a 4 or 5 step drop. We've seen Tennessee consistently get pressure on 3-step drops, only bringing 4 people. Right here, this is a 5 or 6, 5 to 7 step drop. But look at this. He's got a man right in his face. It's going to be very difficult for Alabama, especially in a 3rd and long situation where we're not really going to be worried about their run per se, and we're going to be able to pin our ears back and get pressure on them. This is going to be difficult for them to be able to convert against Tennessee's defense. Because if Arkansas can get pressure like this, on a 7-step drop, we're getting pressure constantly on a 3-step drop with only 4. We are probably going to be bringing pressure, and I expect us to wreak havoc on some of these deeper pass plays for Alabama. All right, so as you can see from the film breakdown, there's a lot of places that Tennessee can have success in this game. Now, Alabama does have, obviously, they've got really good players. They've got a lot of playmakers. They've got a really good coaching staff. So they're going to come together with a really good game plan to try to attack Tennessee. Another place that Tennessee is kind of weak at on defense is in the linebacking core. And that's just because we've got some younger guys there. So I expect for Alabama's game plan to be to get the ball out of Milroe's hands quickly, do things to throw off Tennessee's pass rush with, again, quick passes, screens, draw plays, read options, things like that. If Milroe is 100% healthy, or if he's healthy enough to be able to do that, maybe even some trick plays, something just to get those linebackers kind of out of whack and to slow down Tennessee's pass rush as much as possible. I expect for most of their passes to try to go to Tennessee's middle of the football field because that's where the linebackers will mostly be in coverage at. Now, one of the good things for Tennessee is obviously we have some veteran safeties back there that will be able to help those linebackers out in pass coverage and just to try to make them right if ever they are wrong. Now, with all that being said, let's jump into the film room again and take a look at Tennessee's offense versus Alabama's defense. All right, now this is about the front that Tennessee is going to see because of the way that we're going to dictate how Alabama has got to cover the entire football field. As you can see, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people inside of the box. They've actually got a safety or nickel guy that's going to come on this as well. But pay attention to all this space in between all these people, because they like to play a 3-man line. So these are the 3. There is space in between them, right? There's only one linebacker. We are going to have a lot of success running the football on them because of the way that they're going to have to play us inside of the box. Take a look at what Arkansas does to them. Look at all this space. I mean, look at this offensive lineman right here for Arkansas is 4 or 5 yards down the field already on his guy. And, you know, we all know that Arkansas's offensive line has not been great this season. Okay, a lot of people in Arkansas's fan base has been saying, hey, why isn't our offensive line good this season? This is a 3rd and 6 play, but at the same time, this is what Tennessee's going to be able to do on a consistent basis up against Alabama. Look at that. That's 5, 10, 15, 20 yards. All right, now take a look at what Tennessee's going to do up against very similar boxes against Texas A&M that has a very similar front to what Alabama has. Again, just right now, look at all of the space. I mean, it's 3 to 4 yards on either side. On either side of his choosing, he's going to get 3 to 4 yards. This is a 1st and 10 play. I mean, obviously, he turns that into about 15, 16 yards. As you can see, it's going to be pretty tough for Alabama to stop us. Now, take a look here, right? This is a lot more similar to what we saw on Alabama's previous play. We've got 6 inside of the box. I think that we'll see a lot more of this from Alabama than what that last play was. That was really more about like 4 true box guys. Again, look at all the space here. That's a good crease. This is a good crease. It doesn't take much. And actually on this play, we're being patient here, okay? We're being patient. We're navigating through these holes, but you can see everyone is well blocked everywhere, okay? Doing a really good job of getting in front of our guys, moving them out of the hole and finding the hole. This is Jalen Wright. Look at this. Actually, let's go back. Actually, what we're going to see right here, and this is what I think we'll see a lot of from Alabama too. This is what their fans are talking about, their secondary being heavy in run support for their team. This guy's going to try to come in and tackle Jalen Wright, but it's not that easy, guys. I mean, he's about 215 pounds. He's not a small guy. You're going to get up close to him and be like, oh, maybe I made a mistake coming up too quick. And he's also fast and he's shifty. Watch what he does here. Boom, foot in the dirt, gets up the field quick. I mean, he's still running. He runs really hard, fights for extra yards. You know, gets the extra 5, 6 yards out of that play just from running hard. All right, so on this one, we've got a 5-man box, and we've got a safety or nickel player that's creeped up close to the box to help out in pass coverage and in run support as well. This is something else that we can see Alabama trying to do to cover our wide receivers and also bring in someone else to help with the box. But as you can see from the way that Texas A&M is lined up, with only 3 linemen on the line of scrimmage, right here, there's a crease. Right there, there's a crease, crease, crease. I mean, there's just, even if it's only 2 to 3 yards on the inside, it's there, okay? It's just there from the way that they've lined up. Now, as this play goes through, you see that our offensive line does a good job. They're not necessarily moving bodies. All they have to do is just get in front of people. That's what makes this scheme so beautiful. They're so spaced out that all they have to do is just literally go and, like, not even block to the point of moving bodies, but just stand in front of someone and pretty much wall them off. And our running backs are really good at finding little creases to sneak through. And as you can see, that's Dylan Sampson. He does a good job of falling forward, almost gets the first down on a 3rd and long situation. That is a situation that I'm telling you Alabama's got to be very careful in. 3rd and long is not guaranteed that we have got to pass. If they play that box too light, I mean, we will run that football and we could get it. So I think that they've got to play us very honest to try to prevent things like that from happening. Now, again, we've got another 5-man box on this play. Look at the way that we're patient, and we explode to the openings. We've already seen where the openings are up against defenses like this. There's a lot of them, and it's plenty of space. All right, now this is a 3rd and 2 for Arkansas. What you're going to see, or what you want to really pay close attention to, is Alabama's willingness to stop the run. I think this is going to play in Tennessee's favor very, very well throughout this game because they're going to be trying hard to stop our running game. We just talked about how explosive we can be. In situations like this, we can hit them here too. Now, these guys are going to kind of stay put, relatively speaking, but we're going to have a couple of guys kind of hurry up in there, and it's going to create a nice hole and a nice opening right here for the quarterback Jefferson to fit it in to one of his playmakers. Okay, so as we just saw right here, this linebacker comes up, vacates. There's a big hole right here, okay? There are holes in the middle of Alabama's defense. Okay, gets it to one of his playmakers, and he does a great job of fighting for extra yardage. Now, in a goal line situation, okay, we're going to see an RPO, right? So we're going to fake the run here, or we're actually going to be reading. I'm not exactly sure who they're reading in this scheme, but it's one of these linebackers, okay? The pass is going to come here on a slant, so probably reading this linebacker. If this linebacker comes up, okay, then Milroe is going to keep it, and he's going to pass it right over his head. If that linebacker stays back, then Milroe is going to hand this football off. Okay, this is something that Tennessee also does inside of their offense. Reads, okay, linebacker does not drop. He comes up. So Milroe is keeping this football, and he's going to make this pass. Now, that's a very well-thrown football, and that's a good, tough catch. Something that we have not seen a whole lot of from Tennessee as of late, you know, maybe even this entire season. I'm sure that we've worked on that a lot this week in this game because teams have had a lot of success throwing the ball across the middle on Alabama's defense. All right, on this play, what we're going to see is Arkansas's wide receivers going out, and a lot of space opens up right here. And the quarterback is going to scamper out and make a play with his legs. Obviously, this is something that Joe Milton definitely needs to do throughout this game. Pay attention here, okay? Everyone kind of gets ran off. And now this is not touchdown space, but it is enough for a positive play. This is the type of stuff that we're talking about with Joe Milton. If it's there, even on 2nd and 12 right here, take it. Get those positive yards. Seen him do that some in the previous game. He needs to do a lot more of that in this game. His reads aren't there, and he's just going to take off, use his feet. Does an excellent job. Look at that, fighting forward. You can tell that Alabama's secondary wants no parts of him. He's about the same size as Joe Milton. Actually, Joe Milton might be a little bit bigger than he is. He's a handful to tackle. Let's make these guys have to tackle Joe Milton out in space. All right, so Joe Milton has to make plays, and not just with his feet. Pay attention to what he does right here. He's going to want to pass deep. He's going to come up here, pump fake, and then he's going to find Squirrel White coming back to him right here on the sidelines and deliver a nice strike on a 2nd and 9 play. This is the type of stuff that we're going to need from him on a consistent basis. Play action, steps up into the pocket. Good job. Nice clean pocket. And that's a good job of finding a man after his first read wasn't there. Really nice work, not only by Joe Milton, but also by Squirrel White. Now, right here, what we have is Joe Milton is going to use his legs, okay? He's going to see a big opening, boom, right here in the middle of this football field, and he's going to use his legs and make a play. Look at that. Look at all that space. Does a good job of fighting back to the outside, and then lowers his shoulder, delivers a strike to the defense. All right. Now, as you can see, I fully expect for Tennessee to continue their running success. Alabama's defense is going to be very similar to what Texas A&M's was. Biggest difference between those two teams is that Alabama's got a much better secondary than Texas A&M. So I fully expect for the secondary to come up and help out in run support and to have better coverage than what Texas A&M had. Now, we did miss a few open wide receivers, missed a couple of touchdown passes from drops and things like that. But obviously in this game, we're going to have to overcome it. Joe Milton is absolutely going to have to step up and make plays for us. I think that the middle of the field is going to be open. Now, the bad news for us Vol fans is that we haven't done a good job of throwing the ball across the middle of the field this season. I think, 2 of Joe Milton's interceptions were across the middle of the field. Now, granted, they were a little bit deeper passes, but he just doesn't seem to read the middle of the field well. Has a lot of trouble with that one high look, so I expect for Alabama to come out in that one high look to bring pressure from a lot of different places. That's the one thing that is a positive with a defense like what they play. They've got a lot of very good skill players on the field out there, and they can bring that pressure from a lot of different levels. So it's going to be really critical that we make sure that we pick those guys up in pass protection, especially. All right, so we've watched the film, and now it's time to get into the keys to the game for Tennessee. We're going to start off with Tennessee as a team. The first thing that Tennessee needs to do is come out and play fast and physical. Needless to say, this is a rivalry game. We already know that Alabama has a chip on their shoulder, especially that offensive line. Everyone's been talking about how bad they are, how good Tennessee's front is. And, Alabama's front on defense is probably also feeling some type of way because everyone's been talking about Tennessee's front. And, they've also been talking about Tennessee's run game. So Alabama's going to come out to prove a point, and they're going to want to physically dominate Tennessee. Tennessee wants to physically dominate Bama too. Okay, we ain't scared of them. And like we said, this is a rivalry game. Fully expect this to be a dogfight for 60 minutes. All right, so the next thing is going to be to take the crowd out of the game early. Now, this is a lot easier said than done, obviously, but Alabama's fans really have not been super energetic, I guess, or super crazy like most fan bases in the SEC. It hasn't been that tough of a place to play as far as crowd noise. Now, it has been a tough place to play because Alabama has been good. And because they've been so good, the fan base is spoiled rotten. They just expect success. They get riled up for those really, really big games. And they probably view this as one for sure. But if Tennessee can have some early success, then they can take the crowd out of the game early. And if they can take the crowd out of the game early, it's really going to do wonders for Tennessee's offense. I think that this is going to be a really key factor in this game for Tennessee. All right, now something else that we definitely cannot do is be looking for flags. We saw how many missed calls we had last week in Knoxville and really throughout this entire season. The referees just have not been consistent, and there's no way in the world that we should ever expect to get any calls in Tuscaloosa. It's just not going to happen. Our playmakers have got to go out and make plays despite being held, despite being interfered with. We have absolutely got to go out and play like dogs and not worry about the laundry on the field. Last thing for the entire team is to play 60 minutes. I've watched a lot of Alabama's press conferences and things like that, and everyone's talking about playing a 60-minute ball game, really just because of what happened last week up against Arkansas. So that's going to be something that they focus in on hard. If we get up early, we can't give up. And if we get down early, we also cannot give up. We've got to keep fighting. We've got to carry the fight to Alabama for 60 minutes. All right, now it's time to talk about the defensive keys to the game for Tennessee. First thing is going to be to control the line of scrimmage. Now, this goes without saying, but I think it's even more important in this game because of what I just said. There's been a lot of hype surrounding Tennessee's line of scrimmage, especially on defense, and how bad Alabama's is. We're going to have to go out and prove it to them early because I promise you, they're going to try to come out and prove a point to us. We have got to establish dominance from the first snap of the football game and let them know that they have absolutely no chance. Crush all their hopes and all their dreams from the first play to the very last one. Next key to the game is going to be to keep Milroe contained. Now, if he is banged up, obviously it's going to be a lot easier for us, but let's not expect that that's what the deal is. Let's just expect that he's 100% healthy, and let's stay inside of our pass rush lanes. Let's not get too far up that field, and let's contain Milroe as much as possible. Something else that we have to do is contain their offense in general. We've got to force them back inside. Alabama really likes to run stretch plays. They like to try to get to the outside, and I would anticipate that they're going to try to come straight at James Pierce because he's such a good pass rusher. So fully expect to see them running wide on us, or at least trying to. We've got to bottle them up and keep them contained. Next key is to tackle at all costs. Now, Alabama's running backs have not averaged very many yards rushing this season, but they do run really hard. Their players are going to play hard, and we have got to come up and we've got to make good sound tackles. Just from watching film, I've seen a lot of people missing tackles on them, so I know that they're not easy to tackle. We don't always need that big, huge hit. Come up, wrap up, play good, sound, fundamental football. Wait for your teammates to get there, and teammates, you got to get there as quickly as possible, and let's limit those big plays by coming up and making good tackles. All right, so the last things are get after the passer and to stay in coverage. Like we talked about earlier, we have to try to contain Milroe, and part of containing him is definitely going to be getting pressure on him. We've got to get to him early and often as much as we possibly can, and obviously we're going to have to stay in coverage down the field. He's going to scramble around. It's not up to our secondary guys to come up and make tackles at the line of scrimmage. We have got to stay in pass coverage. He's just too dangerous throwing the football on the move for us to try to come up and make tackles out of position. Let's stay in position and let's bring this thing home. All right, now for the keys to the game for the offense. All right, so number one thing is going to be to limit the pre-snap penalties. We all know that the game is going to start off loud. We hope that it does not end that way because we expect to dominate early on. But until that point, we cannot have false start penalties. That absolutely kills this offense. We cannot have that at all. I know that the offense has talked about it a million times and worked on it a lot this week. We haven't been great at doing that on the road this season, or really since Josh Heupel has been our coach. We have got to make sure that that is not something that hampers this team in this game. Next point is just like the defensive line, the offensive line has got to control the line of scrimmage. Now, Alabama's defensive front is really good, and it's not going to be an easy task, even with those lighter boxes. We're really going to have to come out and play very physical up against these guys early on and establish dominance. Let them know that it's not going to be a bully game for them and that we're going to be the bullies in this game. And I fully expect for us to do that because Cooper Mays is an absolute total dog, and he's going to have that offensive line and this entire team ready to rock and roll on Saturday. Third key for the offense is to protect the football. Alabama has 12 turnovers on defense. 7 of those are interceptions. 5 of those are forced fumbles. I've seen them in film punching at that football a lot, so we've got to make sure that we keep that ball high and tight and protect it with our lives. Something else that we do not want to do is throw any interceptions. Let's be very mindful of where we are throwing that football, and let's not put it in harm's way unless we absolutely have to. Okay, so let's take care of that football and keep this team in the game. Last key is going to be to win one-on-one matchups. Now, we are going to get one-on-one matchups because of the way that Alabama is going to have to play us on the outside. Not only that, but Josh Heupel knows how to scheme up one-on-one matchups, and he's going to do it. He's done it in every single game that I've seen him coaching with Tennessee. So expect to have one-on-one matchups and expect them to be favorable for Tennessee. We just have to make a good pass and make a good catch. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Just go out there, backyard football, have a good time, and be playmakers. All right, so this last keys to the game is for Joe Milton himself. First thing that Joe Milton has to do is identify where the pressure is coming from. Now, this is something that we talked about a little bit earlier. Alabama can and will bring pressure from different places. You've got to identify where that's coming from as quickly as possible. A lot of times they're going to bring that pressure late, so it's not always very easy to pre-snap read that. But what Joe Milton has got to do a good job of is at least recognizing it post-snap and making a play with his legs if need be. We just don't want any negative plays. We don't want any sacks, any turnovers, etc., etc. Let's run the ball or throw it out of bounds. A play for nothing sometimes is just as good as a play for positive yardage, especially if the defense has something nice dialed up on us. So, Joe Milton, please make sure that you are identifying where that pressure is coming from. Second thing for Joe is going to be to look off the safety. As we said, we're going to have to throw the ball to the middle of the field on this defense at some point. Joe Milton has not been great at that, and it really has just been because he stared down who he's throwing the football to pretty much from pre-snap all the way from the time that he throws it. So he's got to stop doing that. You've got to look guys off. Whenever you like something, look to the other side of the field post-snap first, and then come back to whoever you liked. Okay, that's how you look that safety off. Alabama's going to have one high in this game pretty much the entire game. Going to have one safety roaming in pretty much all of their coverages. So we've got to do a good job of looking that guy off, especially on those deeper passes and on those middle of the defense passes. And if we can do that, we can be a lot more successful in the passing game than we have been, especially than we were last game. All right, so the next thing for Joe Milton is going to be to make plays and fight for every yard. This is the most frustrating thing that Joe Milton does for me. Sometimes we need a big play for him, and he just cops out. You know, he moseys out of bounds, or he throws the ball out of bounds, or, you know, just something like that. Whenever plays have to be made, you have got to make them. Continuously make plays for us, even if it's 2 to 3 yards. Like I said, even if it is throwing the football out of bounds, do whatever it takes to keep this team in a good position to win. And the last thing that Joe Milton needs to do is to be cool Joe. What I mean by this is, we all know that Joe Milton is a very even-keeled young man. Doesn't seem like anything tends to get to him. This is something else about him that kind of frustrates me, but it's a really good personality trait to have as a quarterback, especially a quarterback that's traveling with the team that's looking up to him on the road. He's going to have to be even killed whether this team gets up or down, because we're going to have highs and lows throughout this game. That's just part of it. It's a long game. It's 60 minutes. But I fully expect for Joe Milton to be who he has always been, not just as a leader on the sidelines and with his posture, but also with his play. I want for you to go back to the Joe Milton that was 12, 13 years old, outside playing football with his friends in the backyard, out on the street somewhere. Okay, go out there, be that physically imposing force, use that strong arm, use that touch, use your legs, everything. Just be yourself, have fun, and don't over process stuff. We do need for you to process stuff, but don't overthink it. If you feel like something is there, I would much rather you be wrong at 100 miles an hour than to be wrong because you're second guessing. Go out there, make plays, be a baller, and we will be all right. All right, so with all of that being said, I think that this is going to be a tough game for Tennessee and for Alabama. I really believe that Alabama is going to do their best to lean on their running game, work that play action, try to force some deep balls down the football field. The biggest question is, can they find a way to slow Tennessee's pass rush down enough for that to work? Or can they find enough success on the ground for the offense to be able to consistently move those chains against Tennessee's defense? And on the flip side, can Tennessee run that football? I think that they can and will. But one of the other biggest factors is, can we find some success down the football field? And I think that this is the game that Tennessee's passing game gets back on track. Expect 2 to 3 long, deep passes, if not more, in this game. And with all that being said, my final score prediction is going to be Tennessee 37, Alabama 24. So go Big Orange. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. Thank you to everyone who's been commenting. We really appreciate all of the love and support that we've been getting from everybody. Thanks a lot to Sports Talk Jay for sending people over to our channel. And speaking of Sports Talk Jay, we will be on his channel tonight at 8 o'clock live, talking more about this big matchup this weekend. So we hope to see everyone there. We want to hear y'all's thoughts and get y'all's feedback on, what y'all see in this game. Also, leave y'all's thoughts down in the comment section, and I will do my best to get back to you as quickly as possible. But make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share it with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.